富饶地，一朝舒缓贫困期，午夜朝气渺攘际。
It's finally time. A month passed since Black Myth Wukong came out. It's time to see what the hype is all about. And I'ma be completely honest, this is it's one of the games of all time. Like, maybe it was overhyped, maybe. It definitely was. Just, I started and was like, okay, this is definitely not a Souls game, but it has Souls elements. It's basically just God of War, something like that, and it really did not feel that great. But I went into it like, okay, it'll get better, you know, after a few hours, and it did. It did, honestly. I think chapter 1 like gripped me a good chunk, even with the bosses and everything. And then chapter 2 showed up, and I started seeing the flaws like a lot. Just slowly started seeing the flaws, slowly losing a lot of interest, realizing, wow, this is gonna be a long game if I'm only at chapter 2 and I'm only like 15 hours in. And then chapter 3 showed up, and then chapter 3 just kept going. It finally had some good moments, had some good bosses finally, but then it just stumbled. I got to Goldbrow and that was it. Like 23 hours in, got to Goldbrow, which is a cool spectacle fight, sure, but it was not great. Like I reached that point where, okay, I'll just stop it, because before chapter 3 I said, okay, I'm gonna do one more chapter and we'll see how the game goes. Maybe I'll enjoy it more, maybe not. And yeah, I stopped at the end of chapter 3. I'm not gonna do the Goldbrow fight because I don't find it enjoyable. I think, I don't know. The point showed up and I was just realized that after 22 bosses, only 3 or 4 of them were actually good. Everything else was either mid or just not good. Like, even if the Lies of P bosses were mostly like not good, were mostly mid, but Lies of P had everything else for it, and Black Myth Wukong just did not. So yeah, I reached that point where I just said, okay, you know what, out of 25 or something like that bosses, I don't know, I have to count, but I kept a nice little list of all the attempts and everything like that, and then I realized, okay, if out of so many bosses only like a few of them are actually memorable, then this is just Shadow of the Earth Tree. This is just Elden Ring all over again. Hell, even Elden Ring has more quality bosses than this, but I digress. So yeah, I reached that point where I just said, okay, that's enough, because the bosses are just not fun for the most part, and even then they have just so much HP. It's just so tedious. I think if they cut off like 30% of HP of the bosses, then that would have been better, but again, it's just too much. It is just too much. Even Wukong's moveset is not particularly that great, so you can mix it up. I mean, sure, you can change builds for no cost. You can literally specialize into whatever, but again, I found what I liked and I played with what I liked. But I don't know. If Shadow of the Earth Tree wasn't evident, I just don't want to change builds just for something that I find enjoyable. And yeah, that's all. So regarding that, I genuinely just did not have fun. Like, every single Souls-like has a redeeming factor, even the ones that I don't like. Or okay, these are bad examples, but Crab Souls, another Crab's Treasure, it's not like I didn't like it. I enjoyed it a lot. It just had some issues. Crab Souls, I loved the setting for. That was the most memorable thing. Honestly, like, there's a severe lack of oceanic settings, I guess, like underwater settings. There's such a lack of them. I fucking love them. We need more of them. The Last Hero of Nostalgia was a very, very, very strange Souls-like, but the level design was actually top-notch, probably even better than most FromSoft, even if the bosses were actual doo-doo, and even if it was a little bit clunky, but Nostalgia was at least funny and the level design was top notch. Thymesia, I want to forget about it, but Thymesia had a great atmosphere and like was a decent indie project, so you know it was fine. And Lies of P literally had everything great for it besides the bosses, so I don't know. It could just be burnout, but again, like I wanted to say that, but then I realized that I played DS3 Cinders and Bloodborne replays, and like, no, it's not burnout. It's just a lack of quality. Like, I don't know. I appreciate the game and I appreciate what they managed to pull off, especially as an indie first AAA game. But Black Myth Wukong is just not it, chief. It's not a pure Souls-like, it's just a God of War Souls-like elements, I guess. God of War with Souls-like elements. And it's just not for me. The graphics and the animations are fucking incredible. But if Demon Souls Remake proved me, that does not carry a shitty game. Again, it's not shitty, but it isn't for me. Like, it is not for me. I appreciate the game, but for me, Black Myth Wukong does not really carry itself in anything else besides graphics, and even then, graphics are something that I'm not captivated by until just to finish up a game. Again, if graphics mattered to me, I would have finished up the Demon Souls remake, but I just didn't have no fun with that, so I just fuck it. It was just tedious challenge for no reason, while Black Myth Wukong was just too much health for no reason and a lack of quality bosses. Anything memorable. Literally the only memorable fights are the Tiger Vanguard and the Storm Chick. Those are the only two. So, yeah. I appreciate what they managed to pull off here, and even if Charlie says the game of the year, no, it's not for me. I think it's a solid 7 out of 10. I do appreciate it, but I'm not gonna finish it anytime soon, and that's all. I respect it. It's, again, I don't want it to be twisted into what Shadow of the Erdtree was. Everyone calling me shit for that, but I think Shadow of the Erdtree was good, but it was just not for me and was extremely overhyped and overpraised. I think the same thing applies here. Black Myth Wukong has potential, especially. I think it's good. It's just not for me. Like, it's literally that simple. I was not what I expected, but I will appreciate what they managed to pull off here. And again, I respect it, but it's not for me. So Black Myth Wukong, 23 hours in at the end of chapter 3. I am dropping it for the foreseeable future, and we'll see. Maybe I'll finish it sometime soon. Knowing myself, I doubt it, but I think that's enough. I think the game was good enough, and if you liked it, all the more power to you, but for me, that was just not extremely enjoyable, and yeah. I think Deadpool was a way more enjoyable experience than this, so that's saying something. So yeah. Yapping finished. I think it's a good game, but it's just so overhyped and definitely not a game of the year, especially when SMT5 Vengeance exists and something else. But yeah, overall, very overpraised. We'll see. I might finish it eventually, but for the time being, nope. I had my fill. So yeah, next video, probably yapping about Shadows of the Dam, since I also finished it like 2 days ago, and yeah, I want to do that, and also work on the Deadpool review, because the Deadpool game was actually fucking fun. It was incredibly enjoyable, despite its issues. So yeah, that's all she wrote. See ya next time. Take care.